This is the Louie Tee Network.
I'm ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
Overtime! So we head to overtime.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie Tee? Welcome to Monday Night Football Overtime. New England Patriots, Baltimore Ravens usually makes for some good football. Early in this game, didn't seem like that was going to be the case, but the two teams did not disappoint. Some mistakes on special teams both ways helped this game be pretty entertaining, but at the end, the Patriots do what they do best. That's win. So we'll talk about how they got to that outcome, what this means for both teams moving forward. But first, as we normally do, let's set the table. Welcome to the Louie Tee Network. If this is your first time here, welcome. And subscribe to the Louie Tee Network for more great content in 2016 and beyond. We're changing the game here on the Louie Tee Network. Want you to help us do that by simply subscribing to the Louie Tee Network on YouTube. Trying to change the game. Want you to do that. Help us do that, I should say. Go ahead and subscribe to Louie Tee Network on YouTube. Also, I'm on Twitter at In the Lab Room. That's the Twitter handle. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter. I'm also on Facebook. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. Give me the like there. On my social media platforms, right there in the screen scrolling up above. So make sure you handle all of those affairs. Follow me on Twitter, like the Facebook page, but most importantly, make sure you subscribe to the Louie Tee Network on YouTube. That being said, let's talk about this game. Big implications for both teams involved. Obviously, for the Patriots, they want the number one seed in the AFC playoffs. With the Raiders losing on Thursday night, the way has been paved for them. They simply just have to win. They don't need help from anybody. They don't have to scoreboard watch. They don't have to worry about what this team or that team is doing. Just win, and you're the number one seed in the AFC. For the Ravens, it's not that simple. They simply have to win, and they are the AFC North champions. But if they don't win, it's not like the Patriots where if you lose, you're still getting in the playoffs. You're still going to win your division. You just won't be the number one seed. If they lose, all of a sudden now you go from in the playoffs as the team that would represent the AFC North to out of the playoffs completely on the outside looking in. So big game for the Ravens, big game for the Patriots, bigger game for the Ravens on the road in New England. Tough spot to be in, but the Ravens relished this type of challenge, and you knew they were going to come in and give it a run. Would it be enough? I didn't think they'd be able to score enough points. They scored 23. That's a lot for them. They gave up 30. That's a lot for them as well. So let's talk about the Patriots first in this football game, what they were able to accomplish, how this game even got close enough to the point where you thought maybe the Ravens can steal this one, and how they were able to be triumphant in the end, get it done, and get to 11-2 on the season. They came out with the game plan that I thought they would, and you see what Martellus Bennett brings to the table for this Patriots offense, especially with no Gronk. Tom Brady needs a tight end to work the middle of the field. It gives them a little bit more flexibility, especially with the receivers being out. And that was the thing that I wanted to see, and I talked about this in the Patriots video last week. What were the Patriots going to do with all of these guys out at the receiver position? How were they going to counterbalance and offset the injuries? And we saw what the game plan was. Ravens, a great run defense, so we're not going to run it as much tonight. Going to let Tom throw the football. And early in the game, they came out and they were doing all of these different kinds of sets. And, you know, the first 15, the scripted plays, if you will, they came out with some 3 tight end sets. They got Martellus Bennett loose into the secondary. They were being a little deceptive. Tom Brady throwing the football around, being surgical as Tom Brady does best. And they were driving it down the field, getting into scoring range. It looked like this was on the verge of being a blowout. It really did. I thought that It was going to be one of those nights where Brady had it going. They were able to force some turnovers, and you were thinking, okay, this could be one of those nights, especially after the Ravens made. And tonight, I think, shows you if you're one of those people who don't really buy into special teams and don't really see how important special teams is and how it can impact the football game. Tonight was the game that you really needed to watch to see just how important special teams is. It's the one phase of the game that we don't talk about enough. I tried to bring that to the forefront of a lot of conversations because people don't understand how special teams can impact a game. I mean, one play can change the whole tenor of a ball game, and you saw it happen tonight. Ravens don't catch the football. You got a veteran like Devin Hester, who ultimately may end up in the Hall of Fame one day for his special teams prowess, doesn't go and fair catch the football, doesn't go and meet the football, which is a no-no, especially this time of the year. Ball hits the ground, trickles all the way down to the 1-yard line, down by the Patriots. Great job of knocking that back into the field of play and not letting it go into the end zone for a touchback. They down it at the 1. The very next play, it's blown up by Malcolm Brown. Safety in the end zone, 2-0. The Patriots would take off from there. The free kick ensued. They got great field position. Brady takes them down the field. It's 9-0. The Ravens come back out, go down the field. You think, okay, they're going to respond here. They get down in the field goal range. Special teams again, letting the Ravens down. Shea McClellan does what has become a trendy thing to do now on field goals. If you've got a guy that's athletic enough that can time it up correctly, you jump over the long snapper without touching anyone on the line, and you block the kick, and they did so. That's the only way you're going to get Justin Tucker to miss. He came close a couple of times tonight. He's Justin Tucker, man. Forget about it. But that's his first miss of the season. They blocked the kick, and that turned into another New England touchdown after Brady got his hands on the football yet again with some more good field position. And it was 16-0, and you're thinking, okay, this one is about to get out of control. Because I already said this Ravens team not going to score a ton of points. This thing is trending in the wrong direction if you wanted a shot to win. If you were the Ravens and you wanted to win this game, the score needed to be 20-16, 23-20 if you were going to win. You can't go into the 30s and think you're going to beat the Patriots. That's just not what this Ravens team does. So, 16-0. It's not looking good for the Patriots. Or, excuse me, the Ravens. And the Ravens give it up again. And Patriots are moving it right down the field. And then Tom Brady makes a ill-advised throw. One that you don't see Tom make very often. Pressured on the play. And he just says, here, I don't want it. Throws it up in the air. What the hell was that? And it was the first of 3 uncharacteristic mistakes by the Patriots that allowed the Ravens back into this game. And you're like, huh? Are these the Patriots? Really? Brady throws it up for grabs. It's going to be 23-0 at worst for the Patriots. It's going to be 19-0 going into halftime. I'm convinced that the Ravens don't get anything before the half if this turns into a scoring opportunity for the Patriots. Instead, Eric Weddle, who has dropped about 72 picks this year, finally catches one and gets the football back to the Ravens offense one final time in the first half, and Justin Tucker delivers a field goal to make it 16-3 at the halftime break. The Patriots come out in the second half, and you're thinking, okay, you got to get a stop here, Baltimore. You got the momentum scoring right before the half. Got to get a stop. And the Patriots take it right down the field. Bam. Touchdown, 23-3. And at that point, this game is over. In my mind, this game's done. It's done. Done. Ravens are finished. And they punt the ball. The Ravens go 3-and-out again. Punt the football. And it was crazy because Sean McDonough said in the first half, what is Cyrus Jones doing? Why is he so close to the football? He just avoided a disaster. I'm like, it wasn't that bad. What are you talking about? Does the exact same thing in the second half. This time the ball does hit him. Tracked down by Ravens rookie wide receiver Chris Moore, who dives on the football, gives the Ravens the football inside the 10-yard line of the Patriots. couple plays later, they're in the end zone. Darren Waller with the touchdown. And just like that, it's 23-10, and the Ravens are back in this game. The very next kickoff, the ensuing kickoff, Matthew Slater is back there with Cyrus Jones, who just made a big boo-boo. And Matthew Slater's like, watch out, young fella. Let me catch this. I'm going to show you how a veteran does this. I'm going to hold on to the rock. He puts 2 hands on the rock, runs into a brick wall, bow! Ball comes out. Don't mess with Juszczyk. Don't do that. You saw that catch and run earlier from Juszczyk? Don't do that. Don't run into him. He's a brick wall. Bow! Ball comes out. Ravens recover. Couple plays later, Ken Dixon in the end zone. Just like that. We got ourselves a ball game, folks. Who are these guys? These are not the New England Patriots. Brady throws an INT. Cyrus Jones inexplicably allows the football that's on the ground trickling to touch him, then be recovered by the Ravens. And then on the ensuing kickoff, Matthew Slater fumbles and gives the Ravens great field position, in which they turn that into another touchdown. And just like that, voila, it's 23-17. Who are these masked men? They're not the New England Patriots. The Patriots don't do dumb stuff. Who are these guys? I don't know. But the Ravens ultimately cut the lead to as close as 3 at 23-20. And then, just when you thought they got a shot, they give up a big ball, easy money to Chris Hogan. No one covers this man. No one touches him. He runs unabated down the middle of the field. Brady, you know he doesn't miss these opportunities. That's why he's the greatest of all time. Hit him right in stride. Touchdown. And for all intents and purposes, this game was over. The Ravens showed no urgency down 10. They were acting as if they were up 10. Clock is running, and they're just going through the motions. And you're like, hey, guys, you're down 2 scores. Let's speed this thing up a little bit. And they're huddling, and they're kind of just walking around. And Joe Flacco's setting protections. And I'm like, dude, you don't have time for this. Go. So you knew they weren't going to come back and win this game. Ultimately, they lose this game 30-23. Specifically for the Patriots in this game, I told you I like Malcolm Mitchell. He continues to impress. He had a touchdown catch. Good to see Martellus Bennett back out there on the offensive side of the football. He had a big touchdown grab as well. Also had a nice catch early in the ball game down the sideline. So his presence in this offense is warranted at this point, especially with all these guys out due to injury. He's going to have to step up. He did tonight. That was huge for them on the offensive side of the football. Brady was pressured. You expected that from this Ravens defense. Didn't expect him to throw the football up for grabs the way that he did, but he did respond when the game was on the line, only up 3 with that touchdown pass to Chris Hogan. It was an easy one, but I've seen quarterbacks over this weekend miss open receivers down the field. And so you give Brady that kind of opportunity, he's not going to miss. They got it done on the offensive side of the football. They did some good things on special teams, believe it or not, despite the turnovers and the mistakes. It was special teams that helped them create the lead that they ultimately were able to hold on to. So I thought they did some good things. Special teams take it away in this game for the Patriots. On the defensive side of the football, they were solid. And, if not for the mistakes, I don't think the Ravens really do what they did tonight in terms of the scoreboard, scoring 20 points. You got to think 14 points can directly be correlated to the special teams turnovers. Hard to have sudden change of possession and have your sudden change defense come out there and expect them to get stops. One time they're coming onto the field and Ravens have the ball first and goal from like the 6. Another time they come onto the field and the Ravens have the ball first and 10 from about the 17 or maybe the 20-yard line. So you're asking a lot of your defense in these scenarios when you're putting on the field in some tough spots. And Ravens were able to go in and score. And what I saw from the Patriots defense tonight was really simple. What they said defensively is, look, you're not beating us deep. You're not getting any big plays to Mike Wallace. You're not getting anything cheap, nothing deep. They did have the big 44-yard catch to Bashad Perriman, which set up a field goal. But outside of that, They refused to give up anything deep. They were playing zone, and they were playing a soft zone all night. They were dropping guys like crazy and rallying up and tackling. Up until the fumbles, Joe Flacco, it was a check down fest for the Ravens. Everything was short underneath to the backs, to the tight end. If it was to a receiver, it was short. Nothing was getting past 6 or 7 yards. The use check play was about all they had offensively early in this football game. Everything else was just a dump down. And that was what the Patriots were looking for. They were saying, hey, look, you're not getting anything. We're going to give you all you want underneath. You can have it. Take it. We're going to rally up. We're going to come and tackle. But you're not getting anything intermediate. You're not getting anything deep. If you're going to nickel and dime us, go right ahead. If we don't make tackles, then you'll be in business. But if we come up and we make tackles like we're supposed to, you won't get anything offensively tonight. And it was working until the special teams decided to self-destruct and give the Ravens an opportunity in this game. So give the Patriots credit for doing what they do best. Drawing up a game plan and scheming the other team up and giving themselves the best chance to win. And like I said, defensively, they had a good game plan that was working until the turnovers. Offensively, you knew they were going to recreate the wheel, and they did. They had Brady come out and sling it a ton. They ran it just to stay somewhat balanced, but it was the Tom Brady show throwing the football, and he was able to do that with good consistency throughout the game. Did have, like I said, the one big boo-boo on the interception, but all in all, Patriots do what they do, win the football game, 30-23. The mistakes, a little bit off-putting and not something you expect and are accustomed to with the New England Patriots, but they still found a way to win, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. You look at the Baltimore Ravens in this game, I looked at them as a team that not going to score a ton of points. And that's still something that troubles me with this team. And I think it's going to be their undoing when it's all said and done. You know how I feel about the AFC North and who I think is going to win that division. I think it's going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the biggest reason why is because the Ravens don't score enough points. And we all saw the remaining schedule tonight. It's not one that's impossible. Another meeting with the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati this time. And they're playing much better football than they were the first time the two teams met. Another meeting with the Baltimore Ravens, with the Pittsburgh Steelers, this time at Heinz Field on Christmas night. To me, that's going to be for the division. And then you've got a Week 17 matchup versus the it's got to be a divisional game, so I'm assuming it's who was that last game? I think the Cincinnati Bengals are your last game. And you have someone else next week. Someone else that's actually not half bad, if I'm not mistaken. But in any event, it's going to be tough sledding for this Ravens team because they don't score enough points. That's my biggest gripe with them. The defense, they showed a graphic tonight that was mind-boggling. They're number one in just about every major statistical category known to mankind. Like, it's almost amazing that they've lost 6 games this season with the way that they have dominated defensively when you look at the stats. You know, number one in points, which is the biggest stat to me. Forget about all the other stuff. You're number one in scoring defense. That's the one that's going to win you football games. If you're only giving up 16.8 points a game, you're probably going to be, at this point in the season, after 13 games, you're probably going to be 9-4, 10-3, 11-2. You're not giving up 17 a game. You're going to win, except if you're the Baltimore Ravens and you're not scoring a ton of points either. So that's the one thing that concerns me is they just don't score enough points. They got 23 tonight, but look how they had to get it. They had to force 2 special teams turnovers, and they had to get a Tom Brady interception. And really that interception, I don't want to really harp on it because it's not like they got great field position off of the interception. They had to drive it down the field after that, but they had 2 big forced turnovers on special teams to get to 2 touchdowns that they ultimately got tonight. Everything else were field goals. That's what this offense has been all season. Field goals. Justin Tucker. If not for the turnovers by the Patriots, they don't score touchdowns tonight. I don't think they get in the end zone. That's a problem. And that's the problem they faced all season long. And tonight was a prime example of why this team, to me, isn't going to make the postseason. You saw what the Patriots did? The Patriots said, look, you don't have anyone that we feel like is going to hurt us underneath. We know you got some speed with Mike Wallace and Perriman, and still Steve Smith, as old as he is, can still pick him up and put him down. We're not going to let any of these guys beat us. Hey, take the check downs underneath. Have at it. You're not good enough as an offense because you self-destruct, because you have penalties. You're not good enough as an offense to beat us. You're going to have a penalty that's going to hurt you, a holding or a legal formation or a false start. You're going to do something dumb. It's going to mess your drive up. So go right ahead. Check it down on first down or run it on first down. Get 2 yards. Check it down on second down and get 4 yards and make it 3rd and 4. Good luck on 3rd and 4. Let's see if you get a holding penalty and make it 3rd and 14. Let's see if you get a holding false start penalty and make it 3rd and 9. If you don't, we're going to play the sticks. You check it down, we're going to rally up, make a tackle for 3 yards, and you're going to have to punt on 4th and 1. That was the game plan, and it worked for the most part. So that's the part that's frustrating with the Ravens, is that they're not going to score a ton of points. But defensively, they generally get it done, but they had some injuries that really hurt them tonight. In the secondary, Jimmy Smith went down relatively early. They had another injury in the secondary. And so now all of a sudden, Sharice Wright, a guy you've been running from that you didn't want to put in the game, had to come in the game. I saw Elam in the game when Chris Hogan had the easy touchdown. Why is he in the game? Probably because of injury, most likely. So these are the issues that crop up when guys that don't normally play get in. You have breakdowns defensively, and it costs you in this game. Mistakes cost you in this game. Penalties cost you in this game. It's the Ravens. It's what they do. They're one of the most penalized teams in the league. They don't score a bunch of points, so you can't have penalties. Those don't go together. They don't mix well. And you have mistakes like they had early with the safety and the blocked field goal. They're going to come back to haunt you. Can't make those types of mistakes. Can't have Flacco throwing interceptions and think you're going to win against the Patriots in Foxborough. Not going to happen. They dug themselves too deep of a hole to get out of, and it was a valiant effort. Down 23-3. Who thought that this game would end up 23-30? Not I. 23-3 after the first possession of the third quarter. I'm thinking this is going to be 33-13. They made it a ball game. And again, the Patriots had a hand in that with the mistakes they made, but give the credit to the Ravens for forcing the issue. And they were able to create turnovers. And the biggest thing is, it's okay to create turnovers. That's great. What do you do with those turnovers? You're going to kick field goals or you're going to score touchdowns? They scored touchdowns. They made it a ball game. They gave it a run. But it wasn't enough. And it's a shame that you get it within 3. Had an opportunity to take the lead down there after the Perriman deep ball, and you got to settle for a field goal. You have an opportunity. If you can get one more stop to get the football back, at worst, maybe you tie the game. Maybe you take the lead. Who knows? But you never get that chance. Very first play. Chris Hogan, wide open, touchdown, game, set, match. 10-point lead. No urgency after that. Game was basically done. Where was Terrence West tonight? A lot of Ken Dixon. I think they really like him, obviously. You know that they feel like he's a guy that can be the feature back. But, man, it was a lot of Ken Dixon tonight. And my man, AK, hit me up on Twitter, was like, yo, where's Mr. West? Wake up, Mr. West! Mr. West! Where was he at? I was like, good question. I haven't really seen him tonight. It was the Ken Dixon show tonight. I thought he fared well. I thought he played well, showed his toughness, showed his ability to catch it out of the backfield. He's an all-purpose back. We saw that at La Tech. And they're starting to exploit that now at the next level, as they're starting to use him, catching it out of the backfield, running it in between the tackles, doing a lot of things with Ken Dixon in the lineup. But all in all, Patriots get it done 30-23, run their record to 11-2, keep sole possession of that number 1 seed in the AFC with the win, lock up the AFC East yet again. No surprises there. It's technically they didn't win the division. They didn't clinch yet. 3 games to go. They're up 3 games in the division. They still have one more game with Miami, but guess what? They're going to win the division, okay? So for all intents and purposes, they're your AFC East champion as well after this W. For the Ravens, dropped to 7-6. It's not the end of the world. You still have another matchup on Christmas Day, and like you have to win. You can't just say, "Well, we still got the Pittsburgh Steelers on Christmas, so we're good. We got the ace in our back pocket." You lose again, and they win again. They're up 2 games, and despite having that Christmas Day matchup, or Christmas night matchup, I should say, with the Pittsburgh Steelers, if they're up 2 games and you sweep them and you beat them that night, they still have the division lead. So you have to win leading up to that game. So you need to take care of business next week. And then no matter what, then you'll have that ace in your back pocket. But if you lose next week and they win, then you're talking about a situation where it really doesn't matter at that point if you beat them on Christmas night, because then they have the Cleveland Browns in week 17. They're not losing to them. You can forget about that. So you have to make sure you take care of business. This is your biggest game of the season next week in week 15. You lose that game and the Steelers go and win in week 15, your chances of winning this division and making the postseason shrink exponentially to the point where I'm pretty confident that you're not getting in at that point. So take care of business. Win next week, bounce back from this L, and then we'll see what happens with the Steelers, and then we'll see what that matchup on Christmas night means for both teams once we get there. But let's get to some of your comments for this game. My man AK has a ton of comments, so I'll knock his comments out. AK says, really fun game. Thought it was a blowout. Turned into one of the more entertaining games. Ravens had a shot with uncharacteristic mistakes by the Pats. Special teams were not good in this game. Not sure what the game plan was for the Ravens. Suddenly putting Dixon in instead of West, even though he was good in the second half. Offensively went away from the run game early, and wasn't consistent enough. And also the passing game was dink and dunk mostly, which is what I basically said. He says Jimmy Smith injury isn't serious. Ravens seriously thin at corner with his and Powers injury. And Gerard Powers was the other guy I was trying to think of that I said had an injury. Elam had to play 5th DB and got burned by Hogan. Defense was gassed early, and that's what we talked about, and that's what I basically just said about 5 minutes ago. Also, Andrew Kim also says, not sure why there wasn't any urgency when we were down with little time left. And, of course, we had a lot of penalties that killed drives. Run defense was up and down. So was the pass rush. Yeah, all of those things are true and great points by my man AK. And I'm not sure, and I talked about that as well. Where was the sense of urgency down 10? You're down 2 scores, not down 1 score. I didn't understand why they were just going through the motions there. Andrew Kim also says the Xmas game against the Steelers will be the deciding game. That's if the Ravens win next week. Or the Steelers lose next week. If the Ravens lose and the Steelers lose, then yes, that Christmas game going to be for basically the division. If both teams win next week, same premise applies. That game might be for the division. If the Steelers win and the Ravens lose next week, then that game doesn't necessarily mean that much in terms of the division, because if the Steelers lose that game, they'll still be 1 up on the Ravens, and again, they have the Browns in week 17. That's their ace in their back pocket. Like, worst case scenario, they need a game in week 17. They got the Browns. They're going to win that game, and they know it. So, and you know it. So you need to take care of business next week if you're the Baltimore Ravens. Mondraw says, who do you prefer, Terrence West, Charkandrick West, or Kanye West? Well, my man Kanye isn't doing so well right now health-wise. Charkandrick, he's solid, but I like Terrence West. So I'll go with Terrence right now. But normally the answer to that question would be Kanye West. But, man, Kanye needs a little bit of a sabbatical right now, get his mental state back in order. Vincent Cole says, would Josh McDaniels be a good candidate for Rams' coaching job? It's possible. We've seen Josh McDaniels as a head coach before. That doesn't mean he can't do it. Sometimes you're overwhelmed by the initial job of being a head coach. You don't really know what it entails. You do it the first time, you make some mistakes, and you say, if I get a chance to do it again, this is what I'm going to do differently. Maybe he'll be much better the second time around. And he might be a good guy just for the sake of Jared Goff. You know, you want to get a guy in there that's offensive minded, that works well with quarterbacks, that will be able to kind of nurture and mature and bring along a guy like Jared Goff that you spent a number one pick on. So, I think he would be a guy that would be an interesting candidate for that Rams job, because they definitely need someone that can work with Jared Goff and help him become the best quarterback that he can possibly be in this league. Savage Raven says, that boy Kenneth Dixon went off in the second half. He was playing ball. And that's the Kenneth Dixon that the Ravens thought they were getting when they drafted him. And he's a good football player. And you saw that in the second half of this game. But you've been seeing that in bits and pieces this season. But I think that second half might have been his best half of football the entire year thus far. Andrew Kim says, no, I went 7-9 in the pick'ems. I guess with Fisher fired, my predictions this week will be worst record of the season as well. I think you and Fisher are synonymous with each other, and because he got canned, your picks went in the trash can as well. So, and I knew you were going to lose tonight because I knew you were going to go with your boys, and you had to pay for that. Ben Glassford says, I'm a Fins fan, but it amazes me to see how the Patriots always make players succeed that weren't successful with other teams. Shea McClellan, Kyle Van Noy, Chris Hogan. With 7-11, Chris Hogan wasn't bad with the Bills. Much like Wes Welker with the Dolphins, he was solid with them, but when you get to New England, you go to another level. And Shea McClellan and Kyle Van Noy, they've been okay. They haven't been great in New England. But McClellan made a hell of a play tonight. Van Noy, I still think he's got a long ways to go making that transition to inside linebacker. We'll see how that goes. Mr. Legit Kill says, I think something that is really going to help the Pats down the stretch is Blunt. I think he deserves a lot of credit. He makes things easier for Tom Brady, and I have him on my fantasy team, LOL. LeGarrette Blunt is a huge part of what the Patriots do, believe it or not. There are games when the Patriots abandon the run and have Tom Brady chuck it 47 times, but when it gets colder and when they feel like they can run the football, LeGarrette Blunt is the guy that they usually, or he's the blunt object and weapon of choice for the New England Patriots. He's been really good for them. And he's one of those guys that, yes, down the stretch, could be a difference maker for this New England Patriots football team. And he does deserve a lot more credit than he gets for his production with this Patriots football team. Jay Orion says, there are so many teams in the hunt. What team do you think will get the wild card spot? In which conference? I'm assuming you're talking AFC. For me, it's simple. I think the Raiders will get one wild card and the other will go to the Denver Broncos. I still think the Denver Broncos are going to find a way in. Their schedule is tough. It really is. As a matter of fact, I did this 2 years ago. I probably shouldn't do it because anytime I trust the Dolphins, they let me down. But you know what? I'm going to stick with the Broncos. I'm going to tell you this much, though. I don't like the way the Broncos are playing right now. I don't like their schedule down the stretch. But I will tell you this. The Dolphins are the team that I think can come off the pace and get it. And right now, I know they're in right now, but the Tannehill injury changes everything. It changes the entire dynamic of their team. But that being said, they're playing the Jets. They should be able to beat the Jets on Saturday night. The Bills game is the one that scares me because they don't play well in Buffalo, and that's where seasons go to die. And that's why I'm going to stick with the Broncos. Even though I really like the Dolphins and I think they got a realistic shot of getting in, I'm going to stick with the Broncos, even though everybody thinks their schedule is so tough. They're going to show their championship medal and show why they're one of the better teams in the league still, despite struggling of late. I'm going to take the Broncos, and I'm going to take what I said earlier, all AFC wild card, and 3 teams from that division gets in to the postseason. But we'll see. I think it's going to be one of 3 teams. Either the Dolphins, the Broncos, or the Ravens somehow, or Steelers, or Steelers. Whichever one doesn't win the division sneaks in there. I really think it's going to be the Denver Broncos that holds everyone else off when it's all said and done. But it's going to be tough because they don't have easy schedule down the stretch. But they got some winnable games. And they're already at 8, and I think that's the key. If the team that gets in the wild card spot, the final one in the AFC, they're going to have to win 10 games. I think that's the magic number. The Broncos can beat the Patriots next week. The Broncos can win at home versus the Oakland Raiders in Week 17. I don't know if they're going on the road and beating Kansas City or not. I don't think they will, but it's possible. I don't ever count that Broncos defense out. That's one thing I don't do. Mr. Legit Kill says, Blunt has over 1,000 yards in the season, and that's rare for a Patriots team. When Brady has a decent running back that can pick up first downs and open up play action, that's scary. Need those targets healthy, though. That's another big thing. Need those targets to be healthy. And right now, they're not. So we're going to see. But, yes, LeGarrette Blount does add another dimension to this Patriots offense, for sure. Andrew Kim says, Harbaugh knows that they have to win for the playoffs, and hopefully the Eagles and the Bengals are wins. I will be at the Eagles-Ravens game this Sunday. Can't wait. Bart Scott, can't wait. I hear you, man. Well, hopefully you bring some luck to your boys this week against the Eagles. And that was the game I couldn't remember. Eagles, Bengals, it's Eagles, Ravens, Steelers, and then they finish up the season versus Cincinnati, Week 17. So, in Cincinnati, that is. So it's a tough schedule down the stretch for the Baltimore Ravens. Ofo, my man Ofo really, big Patriots fan, chiming in, says Pats were looking like Mario when he caught the star and ran through everything until Cyrus Jones, Tony, Mitchell, E. Roberts, Valentine Brissett. What a draft class. And he's got a emoji of a hands clapping. He's stupid, man. Yeah, the Pats were, man, that's some good drafting right there, if I may say so myself. And you saw those guys stepping up and making plays, man, and they've been doing that. And you're getting something out of just about every one of those guys. You know, Jones, for all the mistakes he makes, he's a guy that can make some plays. Thuney has been playing for you, it seems like, since day one. Mitchell, I love him. I think he's got the potential to be a really good receiver for this team. Landon Roberts, I think he's the reason why they felt comfortable trading away Jamie Collins, because Landon Roberts, they felt confident that he could come in and play and be effective. And Valentine, another big body down in the trenches, gives you some more girth down there. Brissett came in and gave you some quality snaps and games with Brady suspended. Yeah, it's been a hell of a draft class thus far. We'll see how these guys continue to play, but early returns are big for this Patriots team thus far. Savage Raven says, Mike Wallace missed some wide out shots. I think Mike Wallace has been great for you this season. He's been a lot better. I thought he was going to be a really good addition because he's still fast. But I've been surprised at how well he's run the underneath stuff for this team. Catching the football underneath and making things happen. There was a play in this game. Flacco throws it up high. You don't throw the ball up high to Mike Wallace. But he went up and he got it. Caught it. The DB tried to rip it out and rake it out. And he held on to it. And it was the first down. And I was like, see, that's Mike Wallace that you didn't expect to get in Baltimore. But he's been really solid. Andrew Kim says, Rip Comrade Ruland. I don't know what that means or who that is, but okay. Cool. Duron Johnson, my man DJ, says, you right, man. Tough loss. So close. It is what it is. It's the Patriots. You knew it was going to be tough. You gave it a run. It is what it is. You got to move on to next week. Can't let this loss turn into 2 losses because, again, the next game is the biggest game on the Ravens schedule from here on out. The next game is the biggest game. Now the Eagles game becomes the biggest game of your season. After that, the Steelers game becomes the biggest game of your season. After that, the Bengals game becomes the biggest game of your season. So you just gotta take it one game at a time, and the Eagles are up next, and you got to find a way to win that game. Panthers fan 25 says, Eagles, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Appreciate that. That's the Ravens' remaining schedule. Andre Mogul says, even though the O-line for the Ravens is trash, I think the O coordinator is holding his team back. Too many dink and dunk play calling. I think it was just what the Patriots were giving them tonight, frankly. Hard to push it down the field when they're dropping 8, 7, and 8 in the coverage on just about every pass. And they're daring you to push it down the field. I dare you to. You're going to throw in the double coverage and we're going to pick it off like Flacco did early in the game. Go ahead. Go right ahead. We're giving you the check down. You better take it. And that's what they had to do. And they've already fired one offensive coordinator this year. So you can't go to many more places. I actually think the play calling hasn't been half bad. It hasn't been great at times, but it could be a lot worse. It could be Mark Tresman, okay? Ravens fans can attest to that. So Mondraw says, I told you in my picks that I saw last week from Flacco wasn't enough to convince me. But they played the Patriots. So you had to know that that's not who they are. I told you last week was an aberration. They're not a 38 points a game team. They're not going to get that from them on most weeks. 23 is right around their wheelhouse. Anywhere from 24 to 17 is what you're going to get from the Ravens on most weeks. You knew they couldn't sustain that. And so 23 points. You'd like to think against the Patriots that 23 should be enough if you're going to beat them. But you give up a big play and you have a safety and you give up great field position on the free kick. And next thing you know, you're down 16-0. Panther fan 25 says, who should the Ravens target in the draft? Hard to say. Again, I don't talk draft while the season is going on, but just from afar, Ravens have issues in the secondary, obviously, still. The Ravens I think they need more pressure on the quarterback. Terrell Suggs, again, getting up there in age. Elvis Dumerville, getting up there in age. You need pass rushers. You need elite pass rushers. You could also look at the offensive line and say you could use a player or two there, along the offensive line. I think they're fine at tight end, and you definitely need another receiver. I think that's another one of those priorities in the offseason, whether it's a free agent like a Michael Floyd from the Cardinals, and you want to take a chance on a free agent guy, or you want to go ahead and say, hey, let's spend a second-round pick on a receiver and keep it moving. Wallace is going to be solid for you, but he's getting up there in age. Perryman, solid campaign this season. You're looking for a big step next year if he can stay healthy over the offseason. Chris Moore hasn't really given you much this year. Maybe he'll be better next year. But I don't think any of those guys that I just mentioned are number one receivers. So, and maybe Perriman is. I don't see it right now. So I still think you might be in the hunt for one because Steve Smith probably going to retire after the season. He may come back. Who knows? We'll see. But you're definitely going to need another receiver. So Ravens going to need another receiver. Rusty Kristen Russell says, how did Jets QB Petty how did you like the Jets quarterback Petty's game on Sunday? I'm about to break that game down after this breakdown. I thought he was okay. I actually thought he was okay. Much better than the first time he played against the Rams in that loss 9-6. Obviously. Thought he played well. Thought he played well enough for them to come back and win that game. A lot of Bilal Powell in that game as well, but Petty played well. Made some throws, especially the one at the end to Robbie Anderson that helped put him in field goal range and ultimately got him into range for the touchdown to win it in overtime. So I thought Petty was good. Didn't make a mistake early, but he bounced back. I was impressed with how he bounced back. First possession, you throw a pick. Hell, like the first throw of the game, you throw a pick. And you bounce back from that. I thought that was impressive. Mondros. At the end of the season, it will be a shame that either the Ravens or Steelers will be out of the playoffs. Yeah, that's going to happen. It's not going to be a shame. They put themselves in a position to not make the postseason by losing 4 games in a row. Both of those teams had 4-game losing streaks. Generally, you lose 4 in a row in a season, you don't make the playoffs. So the fact that one of these teams is going to make it, despite having a 4-game losing streak, is amazing in itself. But they both put themselves in a position where someone's going to be on the outside looking in because both of them decided it was okay to lose 4 games straight throughout the course of this season. Andrew Kim says, Stanley has been balling, didn't allow a sack or pressure tonight. Rookie Wall? Maybe. It's a maybe. Mondraw says, by the way, I root for Van Noy, but no regrets on the trade. Doesn't look sharp at all with his tackles. I don't think Kyle Van Noy is going to be that much of a difference maker for the Patriots. Rusty Kristen Russell says, why didn't you make a video about the Jets versus the 49ers? Haven't gotten to it yet, but I will after this video is done. And Mondraw says, how do you like the defenses? 4-3 or 3-4? Just curious. I never liked 3-4 that much. I am a 3-4 guy now. I used to be a 4-3 defensive guy. But the 3-4 for me, it's just more versatile. It's harder to bootleg against a 3-4 defense because that outside linebacker is already out there. It's harder to run. The run fits are easier in a 3-4 defense. If you've got the right personnel, a 4-3 defense is awesome. You know, the Panthers, the Giants, the Bucks, just to name a few defenses that over the years have been really successful with a 4-3. And now the 3-4s outnumber the 4-3s. At one point in the late 90s, early 2000s, the 4-3 defense was the predominant defense in the league. And then the Ravens and their 3-4 defense dominated in the 2001 campaign, those 2000 Ravens, and into 2001. And I think that's when the 3-4 really started to catch on, and other teams started to copycat. And then the Steelers had a little bit of success, and then all of a sudden, everyone was starting to move towards the 3-4 defense. So I've been converted myself. I'm a 3-4 guy now, but 4-3 defenses, if you have the right personnel for it, it's an awesome defense. But not everybody has the personnel to pull it off. So that's going to do it. Patriots get it done tonight, 30-23. Sloppy game on special teams by both teams involved. The ball hit the ground way too many times on punts for the Ravens. It cost them one time as it trickled down to the 1-yard line and was down by the Patriots, led to a safety, which then led to a touchdown. So you're talking about 9 points essentially off of one bad decision by Devin Hester. And it happened again. Ravens having to run the football and get out of harm's way down by the goal line because of the ball hitting the ground yet again. The blocked field goal. Special teams wasn't great for the Ravens early, but it did come back and help them later as the Patriots made their own special team mistakes and blunders. Fumble by their standout special teams player, Slater. That was preceded by the muff by Cyrus Jones, allowing the football to hit his leg as it's trickling on the ground. Both of those resulted in Ravens touchdowns offensively with the short fields. So Patriots overcome the mistakes, hold on for a 30-23 victory, run their record to 11-2, have a firm control of the AFC East division, and now are the number 1 seed after the loss by the Ravens, or the Raiders, I should say, on Thursday night. So 11-2, the best record in the AFC as it stands. And now they're tied with the Dallas Cowboys for the best record overall in all of the National Football League after the Cowboys lost on Sunday Night Football as well. For the Ravens, tough loss on the road, made it competitive when it looked like it was going to be a blowout, but they fall short 30-23. They got to pick up the pieces. Now they're 7-6. They're now trailing the Steelers in this division by a game. Steelers won on Sunday. They get to 8-5. So now you have to win next week against the Eagles at home. And then you have 2 road games to finish up, both in the division. First the Steelers, then the Bengals. You get those wins, you win this division. And so it's simple for the Ravens. You win out, you win the division. You lose next week, and you put yourself in a tough position, especially if the Steelers win. So it's really simple. Just win. As a wise man once told me, just win, baby. Just win if you're the Ravens. They leave this game at 7-6. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here on the Louie Tee Network on Monday Night Football Overtime. Patriots get the win, 30-23. Go to 11-2. Ravens drop to 7-6. Remember, we're changing the game one live feed at a time. Got one more game to break down for Week 14. Jets, 49ers, overtime. That's coming at you next. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you out there watching, who commented, who just watched, I appreciate you. Thanks a lot. For all of you out there, for myself, God bless. Good night. I'll be back in about, give me 7 minutes to set up shop. I'll break down Jets and 49ers. For the rest of you who don't want any part of that, get you some sleep. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.
Broncos won the Super Bowl when Peyton Manning retired. 49ers won 5 games and Tom Sula got fired. RG's in Cleveland and my Rams hit the West Coast. Be sleepless in Seattle cause that 12-man ain't beast mode. Oh yeah, I knew it was something I forgot to mention. Yeah, old Tom Brady about to get that suspension. Yeah, I know the Pats fans probably think that's whack. Yeah, but at the end of the day, your balls was flat. It's that time again. It's that time again.